any pharmaceutical industries. We can say regulatory is what the face of an industry, which serves as a bridge between industry and the regulatory bodies. This is the brief introduction on the regulatory bodies, and we'll try to just focus on today's one of the seminar topics, that is nothing but the documentation in pharmaceutical industry. As syllabi, the various content in the documentation in pharmaceutical industry are the EPDB, then product development plan and product development report, master formula document and batch manufacturing record and batch packaging record, drug master files, site master file, CMC, common technical document. These we are going to discuss about an half an hour with respect to the all this content. Next slide, please. Okay. First, let us understand the importance of document. Document is basically it is a piece of written or printed or electronic matter that provides information or evidence that serves as an office record. Because we know document is very, very important. For example, in your college also, you have something called biometric systems. Earlier, it used to be an attendance to give the proof that yes, the person has attended to the college. What is the proof? That our lecturers used to take the attendance. Then the attendance used to be a record, a document, way of documentation to say that the particular student has logged into the college. So whatever activities we make in a pharma industry, the most important is we need to document it. Unless otherwise it is documented, there is no evidence that, for example, we go to restaurants or we go to movies. What is the document? That we pay a bill. Their bill or a movie ticket serves as a document to prove that we visited so and so, like entry tickets. So document is most important. Like a documentation is refers to the ongoing process of creating, disseminating, managing, and using the documents. There is a something called GDP, which is nothing but good documentation practice. Documentation is what? Most important to give an evidence that particular activity has happened in a organization. So the question comes, why document is required? So because the document and products are produced in pharmaceutical industry, but regulatory bodies are interested to see the document first. For example, whenever there is an audit, or even in colleges also, whichever the governing bodies or NAC committee or whoever or UGC or any university wants to come, first they ask as a documents. They give an agenda. They want to verify below documents like your college history or memorandum of associations or SOPs. Like they ask various documents. First, they want to see how the document is being created at your college or at any pharmaceutical organization. Due to the importance given to the documentation from GDP is required. Like there is a way to document. The document should be bound to a particular SOP, because if there is no uniformity in documentation, X person makes documentation in his own way, Y person makes a documentation in his or her own way. There will be no uniformity if there is no standard operating procedure for the proper documentation. For example, what happens in typical pharma industry? We make a batch, we manufacture a tablet or we manufacture an injection, correct? When we manufacture a tablet or injection, it needs to be documented by when the dispensing was started, by when compounding was started, by when batch manufacturing was completed. All these needs a sequential way of documentation. There has to be a proper document by which the document has to be prepared. For example, take your records in your colleges. There will be a practical book, correct? The practical books are pre-printed. Everybody has to write in the particular college record only. Otherwise, what happens? One guy may write in in a loose paper. The another guy may book 100-page notebook, another guy may book one register. So there will be no uniformity in the documentation procedures. In order to have an uniformity, that everybody should, in a proper document, GDP should be there. Good documentation is a systematic procedure of preparation, checking, verifying, issuing, storing, and reviewing of any documents. The most important in pharma industry is, it is not only enough that you create a document. Once you create a document, the created document is in line with the SOP or not. The document prepared should be checked. It should be verified. Then in order to do the documentation activity, the quality assurance department has to issue the documents first. Then once the document issued is completed, it needs to be stored, archived. This is a proper way of good documentation practice. Otherwise, quite possibility that document, if there is no proper archival storing system, the people will not have any importance. For example, with lot of difficulties, you are writing all the records, but if somebody steals that record, then there is again, it is a misutilization or something, you feel bad, correct? In the similar way, the auditor wants the document should be properly stored, it should be archived. Then clearly redocument documents prevent errors of various activities in pharma. The most important is, while we document, there has to be crystal clarity. There should not be ambiguity. Like for example, I write 1. Somebody write 1, they may make it as a 7 also, correct? So the written document should be properly clear. People should be able to read it properly. Our handwriting, the way of documentation, the time mentioning format, all should be clear. This is why the document plays an important role. Next slide, please. Now, let us coming on the EPDB. For example, what is the EXPD or EPDB? It is nothing but a exploratory product development brief for either drug substance or drug product. Drug substance is nothing but API, and drug product is nothing but a finished dosage form. For any company, the most important is either, some people call it as EXPD, or some people call it as ESDL, early stage development laboratory. It is nothing but a develop exploratory which helps companies to achieve growth and improve product development success through an adaptive system. The most important or primary goal of EXPD is to reduce uncertainty and risk by reducing the unknown, because it is just like a road map. For example, I want to travel to Guntur from Hyderabad, means I should have one road map. I should know before I reach Guntur which and all place I have to pass through. I should have a proper goal. I should have a proper written map. Then and then only it will be easy for me to reach the Guntur. If I don't know the proper route, then probably I may not be able to reach the Guntur properly. I may go here and there, and finally my end objective will not be met. That is why this EPDB serves as a roadmap for any product development plan. So when organization adapt quickly to the changing environment, they reduce uncertainty and risk leading to the product process. There has to be a proper objective for any product development, either in drug substance or in drug product. That can be achieved via EXPD. Next slide, please. Now, let us understand what are the various segments of exploratory product development. The first stage or first segment is, first we need to define the strategy. For example, let us assume that we have one pharmaceutical industry that we would like to make a paracetamol tablet product. That is the project which company wants to manufacture. The first strategy should be defined. For example, assume that the strategy is to make a paracetamol tablet. Whether paracetamol tablet should be produced either wet granulation or dry granulation or dry direct compression, or whether paracetamol tablet should be coated or uncoated. If it is a coated, whether it is an aqueous coated or non-aqueous coated. Once coating is over, then it should be bulk packing or strip packing. We need to understand in totality for a complete clarity on a product. That's why we need to we need to make a strategy. Yes, what we understood is we need to make a paracetamol tablet by wet granulation with non-aqueous coating and a bulk packing. This is what creating a defined strategy. The next is collect product ideas and select based on the strategy. In the segment one, we understood that we need to make paracetamol tablets by wet granulation with non-aqueous coating and bulk packing. While we process in the R&D or in the plant, we may get some troubleshooting aspects. Probably we may have to slightly alter our plan. So in order to slightly alter the plan, the most important is you need to first do the lot of literature works, and you should have proper idea on the paracetamol tablet. Like for example, if I make it via wet granulation with non-aqueous coating and bulking, whether will I be able to sell the paracetamol in a competition price or not, whether my strategy makes it economical or not. All these things should be in the segment 2. Now the segment 3 most important is, then after you understanding the basic concept, then prioritize the list of product ideas as resource becomes available in segment 3. Now after you understand the literature, the product ideas, and the basic product plan, then you have to explore and create it. So here what we need is you have to investigate idea to identify, evaluate, and prioritize uncertainties, risks. For example, paracetamol. Probably if you go with the direct compression or a direct granulation, you may get some sticky nature because you may get some problems with respect to the manufacturing. Hence, in order to avoid uncertainty risks, you have to mitigate the risk. You have to probably have a brief ideas and you have to have a proper strategy. Once you, while making this process, you may anticipate some problems. Those problems should be mitigated. Then once all this is mitigated, then we'll be in a position to launch the product in the market. So this is basically like a exploratory product development for the drug substance and drug product. Next slide, please. Now, let us understand what is the PDP. PDP is just like a product development plan. It is nothing but a strategic document that guides the development of a drug product. So, basically, we have to understand the product development plan. How and all we are going to achieve the paracetamol tablet, whether by wet granulation or direct granulation, or what are the various opportunities we have that a paracetamol can be manufactured. So any product development plan will have goals and success factors. We have to have a goal. Then where are the risk mitigation factors? For example, we thought that we'll make a product development plan for a paracetamol tablet. When we make a product plan for paracetamol tablet, we have a various strategies like either to adopt wet granulation or direct granulation or direct compression. There we have to list what are the possible problems that we may encounter while doing this particular strategy. Then identify the risk and mitigate the risk. Next most important is how you are putting an effort for the cost reduction. For example, we discussed the paracetamol tablet can be manufactured with 3 different strategies such as wet granulation, direct compression, and direct granulation. So wet granulation will have a more time required because you have to make the granules, then you have to slug the granules, then you have to dry the granules. Probably you may require one complete shift for only drying the granules. Whereas in direct compression, what happens? You may get ready-made granules, you have to just compress. There what happened is you are able to save a lot of time. This kind of all this cost reduction principles should be well discussed in the product development plan. Then most important is your efficiency. This efficiency comes via your gaining the knowledge while you develop the product. Probably immediately at a first step we may not be able to achieve the efficiency. Going forward, while making various trials, we are able to achieve the efficiency. Then most important is what should be the exact time to market. This is most important. There is something called be first and be right. We should make tablet in such a way that the commercial aspects of the industry is met. Otherwise, if we make a tablet when there is no demand in the market, then it will not serve any purpose. That is why a proper goal should be there before we make any product. That all this will be discussed in something called product development plan. Next slide, please. Okay, for example, if I write a product development plan for a paracetamol tablet, then first I have to write the objective. Then I have to write a literature review, what and all literature I collected on a paracetamol. Then API excipient packaging material information. For example, which are the source I am going to evaluate. Then which are the excipients required. For example, if I talk about tablet, then we need one binding agent, we need one diluent to add diluent, then disintegrating agent, lubricant, and glidant. These are all excipients required, and filler. Most important is filler. So these are all the excipient required. Then packaging, whether I go for blister packing or a bulk packing or a alu packing, this information. Then most important is your drug product information. You should have complete information on your drug product. Then intellectual property information. This is most important. You have to see whether you are able to means you are copying any patents which are present in the this drug product, or you have to develop non-infringing formulation so that your formula tomorrow it should not end up in the intellectual property roadblock. So you have to do this. Then you should develop a formulation development flow chart, the way we discussed, whether which strategy, whether wet granulation or direct granulation, like. Then while doing this, you have to identify the QTTP. Oh, by this time you must be knowing what is the quality target product profile. This also you should discuss. Then you have to give the manufacturing formula and tentative. Here, why it is tentative means you have not started the experiment. You don't know whether you are going to work with the wet granulation or direct granulation or direct compression. You need to evaluate. That's the reason you may give a tentative manufacturing process. Then while doing this, DOEs are important. Most important are design of experiment. But and all various design of experiments will come under tablet, like granulation strength, granulation end point, drying end point, mixing end point. All these should be designed in a proper way. Then most important is quality by design approaches. Like we know that ICH Q8, Q9, Q10, which applies the quality. We need to design our product which should be a quality based. So you should you should discuss in detail about the quality. Then finally at the end, most important is the timeline. There should be some fixed timeline. Like for example, literature review. We complete literature review in 3 days. API excipient packaging material information, that we are going to complete in 15 days. Then drug product information will be completing in 3 days. Like this, you have to allot the timeline and should see whether you are able to meet the company target or not. This and all will be in the product development plan. Next slide, please. Now, what is the product development report? The product development report is a very, very important document. In the regulatory, there is something called 3.2 section, 3.2p section. 3.2p section is what most important on the pharmaceutical development section. So the pharmaceutical development report is nothing but a document which tells about all the information on the dosage form, formulation, manufacturing process, container closure system, microbial attributes, and usage instruction. In this PDR also, we also bring our various learning aspects, which we gain the knowledge while we establish the suitability of the dosage form. Then we have to give the various data as a part of the PDR, which we have designed the experiments. A product development report, it is a significant section of the CTD for regulatory submissions. It provides a comprehensive understanding of the product and manufacturing process, which is essential for reviewers and inspectors, because the reviewers and inspector, they don't know how did you develop the product. They want to understand your development. They will understand your product via a proper development report. Next slide, please. We will see which are the various the sections of the product development report. Can you please zoom it? Yeah, okay. See, for example, first, the most important content is executive summary. Here, it is just like an abstract in the literature report or any article. So, for example, if we have developed the paracetamol tablet, what will be my executive summary is Chalapati Institute or Chalapati Pharmaceutical Industry developed a paracetamol tablet via wet granulation strategy. We developed the 100 mg tablet, which is coated using the non-aqueous coated and finally presented in the bulk packing. And this paracetamol tablet was developed using the Chalapati API industry, which is USDMF approved, and all the excipient packaging materials were USDMF approved. Finally, the drug product is able to meet the quality target profile set by the Chalapati pharmaceutical industry. And the drug product is filed with the 6-month stability data, and this stability data is in line with the ICH Q&D requirement. This is like a executive summary. Like you have to give the gist. Once you write executive summary, then you have to write the composition. Then what are the physicochemical properties of the API and excipient. Then you have to write the QTTP. Then you should also write the component of the drug product. Like for example, most important is your physicochemical properties, then microbial properties. Microbial is most important because the microbial limit test, the bacterial endotoxin test, the TYMC, TMC, all should be discussed. Then risk assessment of a drug substances for the critical material attributes. CMA is nothing but critical material attributes. Then you have to talk on the excipient also, which are the various excipient you have taken, whether did you do excipient compatibility test or not. Then which are the suitable excipient grades, whether they are suitable for your drug product, or because you get a lot of grades, correct? Like for example, I have, if I say I have a knife, if I said I am using microcrystalline cellulose, means I should be in a position to tell the which particular grade I am using microcrystalline cellulose. Then come to formulation development. You have to do a lot of, this is called design studies. You have to do the lot of design of studies. For example, any injectable product, what and all design studies is given in a product development report. And finally, you have to talk on the manufacturing process development, like how did you initially assess the risk, then what risk, how did you mitigate those risks, then manufacturing process steps optimization, like order of addition, whether you first added filler or later you added the binding agent, or first you added binding agent, or first you added a disintegrating agent, or you added after the granules are like all these, like in case of injectable, filter compatibility, tubing compatibility, vessel compatibility. Then you have to talk on what is the basis for you to select the primary packaging components. Then order of additions. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. Yeah. So finally, please, can you next slide, please? Hello, Mr. Kaushik. Next slide. Next slide.
1
Because
minute.
next slide. I think slide number 10 you have to go. Slide number 10. Yeah, okay. So we talked about the product development report. Basically, product development report is nothing like but how did you arrive to give the entire details, then how did you arrive to develop the paracetamol? Now, let us see what is nothing but the master formula record. In some companies, it is called MFC, that is nothing but master formula card. Or in some company, it is called as master formula record. This is nothing but a document that contains all the information and procedure to needed to safety prepare for a specific drug product. Means, for example, now a production guy may not be able to know how to make the paracetamol tablet because the paracetamol tablet was developed by the research and development team. So, in order to understand what is the composition, what is the quantity, what is the process, what is the manufacturing flow, in order to make the batch records, the R&D issues normally a small document called master formula card, where this master formula card includes details about the raw materials, quantities, manufacturing process. Then who will create it? R&D will create it. Why it is important? Because it is important for a production guy to make the batch record. When it is required, it is required for unique formulation of a compoundable non-sterile preparation and for sterile preparation. Not only in the pharmaceutical industry, you take any biotech industry, you take any vaccine industry, or you take any herbal industry, this farms to formula card is required, which serves as a base document for a production guide to make the batch manufacturing record. Next slide, please. So what and all information will be there? Product information will be there, raw material and packing materials will be there, bill of material, BOM it is called, means paracetamol. Simply if I say paracetamol, how much I have to use? I have to use 50 kg or 100 kg, like each and every excipient with there. Then which source I have to use? I may have 2-3 different source, but I am very particular about source. All these details will be there in BOM. Then most important is API acceptance, very important because you are going to test the paracetamol tablet. So you have to compensate the assay. Similarly, any special instructions for manufacturing, for example, when you want to dry the granules, you have to strictly mention how long time you need to dry. Otherwise, if I simply mention dry the granule, means whether it is for 1 hour or 2 hour or 3 hour, then which temperature, whether you have to dry at 60 degree or 70 degree or 80 degree. So all these instructions should be properly mentioned in the master formula card. Then we have to give also brief manufacturing process, how, where and when. Next slide, please. Similarly, once we make the master formula card, similar way, master packaging card is important because master packaging card is which is most important, wherein drug product comes directly in contact with the container, correct? If it is an injection, it will come directly in contact with the vial. If it is a tablet, it comes directly complain either in LDPE or SDPE or aluminum. So similarly, all the products will come in contact with the primary packaging material. Here, similarly, primary packaging material will have which is the primary packaging material, then how much quantity, then which are the labels, which are the cartons. All these details will be there in the master packaging record. Next slide. Then similarly, these are the components like product information, packing, bill of materials, packaging process. Because if you want to go for bulk packaging, whether your drug product is sensitive to the relative humidity or not, what should be the temperature maintained in the packing area, all these instructions should be there in the instructions. Next slide, please. Next, you have to give the batch manufacturing record, BMR, which is the most important document. This BMR is the document which will be submitted to the regulatory body. This BMR, executed BMR, means the details filled in the BMR will be given to the regulatory bodies. Regulatory bodies will audit, will review and audit. So we will see what is this BMR. This is a document that records all the details of the pharmaceutical manufacturing process for a specific batch, raw material, final packing. It also contains production steps, materials, etc. So what are the various pages of the BMR? Like product profile, bill of material, list of major equipments, then process flow, then dispensing important, where you will dispense, which dispensing booth, which is the balance you use, what is the balance ID, whether it is in calibration or not. So similarly, then IPQA will be there, which gives the line clearance before going for dispensing. Similarly, how you are doing the compounding, how you are doing filtration and filling in the case of injectable. Similarly, in the case of tablet dosage forms, dispensing, granulation, drying of granulation, blending of the granules with either lubricant and glidant, then final compression. Finally, you have to give the batch reconciliation or batch yield, most important. For example, if you have planned for 1 lakh tablet, then whether you are able to get 1 lakh tablets or not, then how much you get, where and all you had a loss, where and all handling loss was there. For example, if you are doing in RMG, rapid mixing granulator, you may not be able to recover entire granules, correct? Some may go to stick. That and all we need to document properly. Finally, that we are able to get 99,000 tablets. So 1,000 tablets were not able to recover because of handling loss, or sometimes you must have given tablets for analysis. Those are also you should consider in the batch reconciliation. Next page, please. Similarly, like how batch manufacturing record is there, we have to make the batch packaging record also. Here also, like what is the product profile, then storage condition, whether it is 2 to 8 or room temperature, which are the most important precautions we need to take, and which are the major equipments we use for the packing, then process flow, then which instructions to be followed. Before instructions followed, then IPK will come and give the clearance, then bill of materials, because you have to give request to the warehouse, then warehouse will issue how many cartons is required, how many labels are required, those details. Then finally, you have to brief about the packing activity, how you are going to pack that activity, and at the end, you have to give the reconciliation yield. For example, if you have planned to use 1,000 HDPE containers to the pack 99 tablet, whether you are able to achieve that much proper yield or not. Next slide, please. The most important now is the drug master file. The drug master file is nothing but it is a document which contains the confidential, detailed information about facilities, process, or articles used in the manufacturing process, packaging, and storing of human drug products. Mostly, drug master file is referred for the APIs or the drug substances. So there are 5 types of DMFs. Type 2 DMF, nothing but the DMF being used for the APIs or, actives for their manufacturing. If I say I have type 2 DMF, means it is for paracetamol. Similarly, if I say I have a type 3 DMF, means it is for the LDPE or a vial or a rubber stopper. The any DMF which is used to for a packaging material, that DMF is referred as a packaging material. Then if I say I have a type 4 DMF, means that type 4 DMF is meant for excipient, colorant, flavor, materials used in the preparation. And finally, the type 5 DMF, it is nothing but the FDA acceptance. So in the drug master file, when you make API, you have to give the all the information, like what is your route of synthesis, how did you arrive to make the API, then what and all steps were involved, then how did you get the yield. So This and all details information will be there in the drug master file. Like how we saw the batch manufacturing card for finished product, in the similar way, the DMF is meant for the API. Like for example, in US it is called US DMF, nothing but United States DMF. In Europe it is called European Drug Master File. KDMF is nothing but Korean Drug Master File. JDMF is nothing but Japan Drug Master File. So respective regions have their own DMF, they have their own content. We need to file the details accordingly. Next slide, please. Now, another important is certificate of analysis. This is the most important document which manufacturer procedure that verifies that a product may as per the specifications. See, this COA, I've just pasted a typical COA, how a COA looks like. So COA will have the name of the product, then batch number, then when it was manufactured, then when it was tested, then what is the reference number, then all the specifications, then what are the specification limits, then what are the results. COA is important for customer to know the product they are receiving as per the specification or not. It is just like I want to go to buy an iPhone 12, then I check everything, correct? Whether I have that much megapixel camera or not, whether I required 15-inch screen, whether those things are not. It is similar way, certificate of analysis is also like this. Next slide, please. Then most important is site master file. Site master file is very important, which will have a very specific information about the quality management policies or activities of the site, the production and quality control of the pharmaceutical manufacturing operators. It should be carried out in the name. Means it is just like a philosophical document each and every company should have. They should describe what and all their policies, how the site is going to maintain the files, what and all quality policies, what all the manufacturing policies, what are the supplier, how we qualify the suppliers, how we match the batches, how we test the qualities, how we have a personal cleaning organization charts. Then what are the key important document system which company will make it. So similarly, this site master file serves as a company philosophy document, which a auditor normally will first ask the I want to know. Here even the site master file will also have the area details of the company. Whether this, for example, assume that Chalapati pharmaceutical industry is built in 16 acres of land. Out of 16 acres of land, this company is built with 3 acres. Rest 11, rest 13 acres is kept for future expansion. In that 13 acres, 1 acre is used for a garden. Then another 1 acre is used for parking. So similarly, those kind of information also should be there in the site master file. Next slide, please. For example, there it is just like site master file also should tell about what is the preventive maintenance systems, because you will have very big equipments in your organization. So how you are going to clean them, what is your policy, then how do you, what does your company does when you have a instrumentation breakdowns. So then what is your cleaning policies, how do you clean them, what is your way of documentation, how you arrange the reprocessing, if you need any reprocessing, what is your company policies. Like each and every department information you have to give, like quality control, what is the total area, how many instruments are there, similarly how many there in the supply chain management, in the warehouse, in the electrical department, like all the details you should go. As and when any company does the major changes, the site master file should be amended accordingly. Next slide, please. Then another most important is CMC. CMC is nothing but the chemistry manufacturing control. It is one of the most important activities of a drug product development. It occurs during all the stages of the drug development cycle and ensure quality and consistency during the manufacturing of the pharmaceutical product. When you see a dossier, the dossier will have total 5 modules: module 1, module 2, module 3, module 4, and module 5. Module 1 is nothing but an administration. Module 2 and 3 is nothing but quality OLR summary, and module 3 is a sterile assurance package. Module 4 and 5 are mostly for non-clinical and clinical sections. In the pharmaceutical quality system, there is a particular element called chemistry, manufacturing, and controls. As the name indicates that CMC means we need to give the chemistry details, we need to give the manufacturing details, and we need to give how we are controlling them. So let us see the critical elements of CMC. These are nothing but means how a CMC looks like. The information what it will be having is how and where the drug product is manufactured. For example, paracetamol, we manufacture that Chalapati Pharma Industry in Guntur. Then executed batch manufacturing record. The executed manufacturing record should be part of your CMC. Then how are the raw materials tested and monitored? Means you by the paracetamol, whether the received paracetamol is tested or not, and what and all various controls you have kept in order to test and ensure that the product meets the global standards. Then did you identify any attributes adequately to characterize the product? And most important is, which are the various test methods that you are used to monitor the product quality, whether they are appropriate or not. Then how long does the product maintain its quality after it is made? Like you have to assign a particular shelf life of the drug product. How we assign a shelf life? We assign a shelf life based on the stability data of a drug product. All these should be in the CMC. This is called chemistry manufacturing control. Next slide, please. Then, for example, this chemistry manufacturing control is very specific to the very product. It may not be same for the dosage form. For solid dosage form, it may be different. For liquid dosage form, it may be different. For semi-solid dosage form, it may be different. For example, sterile injectable product, it may have CMC different, majorly focusing on sterility and endotoxin concentration because it is a sterile product, correct? If it is a controlled release product, like for example, we salt a once a day formulation or a week a day formulation, there you have to discuss more on the release profile, then whether your dissolutions are met or not. For example, if it is a conventional oral tablet, then the CMC section should describe more on the dissolution. For example, we have a soluble powder for drinking water, like powder for oral suspensions. There, most important is your moisture content. Otherwise, what happens? If moisture is not properly controlled, the powder may become a duff mass and it may turn like a rocky structure in the bottle, which you may not be able to dissolve after the reconstitution. So that's why it is a very specific for the product. Each and every product, main important should be discussed in the CMC. Next slide. So now let us understand what is nothing but CTD. CTD is nothing but, you must be knowing, it is nothing but the common technical document, while eCTD stands for the electronic common technical document. Now, the eCTD is suitable for electronic submission. Otherwise, what happens is you require huge number of papers, which is again a environmental this thing. Probably one dossier may be around more than 20,000 pages. So again, you have to take the printout, you have to arrange the courier, bundle of bundle, you need to send it, which and all is a very difficult. Hence, in order to solve this, there is something called eCTD. It's an electronic common technical document. ECT software will be there, all the ANDA checklist will be there. Just a regulatory department has to submit the documents accordingly. That is nothing but eCTD. Next slide, please. Now, for example, let us assume that what is the paper CTD or eCTD. The only difference, as I told you, eCTD is nothing but the electronic gateway. Everything is electronic. It's only just you have to scan the document, then you have to put it in the common technical document server. Whereas in paper eCTD, you have to take the A4 volume, A4 size paper, then you have to, in the CTD format, you have to link that this particular section where it is. So, which is a very difficult. It was a time taking. In order to resolve all these things, eCTD is in place. Next slide, please. This is like CTD triangle. Basically, the content either for CTD or eCTD remains same only. The most important here in eCTD, it is in an electronic way of submission. It's not via paper, hard copy submission. It will be a soft copy submission. But however, the information pertaining to the drug product remains same. That triangle is given for your reference. Next slide. I hope we covered everything. Because of I am little took very fast because we need to go for another presentation. If you have any questions, please raise the question. I will be happy.